What's up folks, Dave from Polyscience here and welcome to another video. I'd like to start this one off by thanking the guys from the ISVA for reaching out to me to do another video for you. And if you haven't read the shirt yet, today we're talking about my favorite topic, which is meatless sous vide. And while we're talking about meatless sous vide, if you think this shirt is as fly as I do, you can go to the isva.net/shop and pick one up for yourselves. So what are we gonna do today? We're gonna do a navy bean salad with a little bit of artichoke that's tossed in like a sort of a mint dressing that's got a lot of lemon character and just a little bit of heat, that's topped off with some fried shallot and garlic for those allium tones and a little bit of crunch. But before we get into it, we're gonna need to put an apron on because we don't want to ruin our brand new shirts. So that's better. So here we've got some navy beans, and beans are great. You know, they fill you up. They're cheap. They're high in antioxidants, protein, fiber, and they support heart health. So really good, cheap. I keep all sorts of dried varieties in my pantry, and these are just inexpensive navy beans that I found at my local supermarket. But if you want to check out some really cool stuff, make sure to check out Rancho Gordo. They have all sorts of heirloom beans that are dried, and you can pick up some really funky, really cool stuff from them. So we're gonna get these cooking. I've got here a 1% salt solution. So for every 100 grams of water, 1 gram of salt. And then I've got my navy beans, which have been soaked in water overnight. Now, I just leave them out on the counter. You could refrigerate them if you want to. I just don't. I don't have the space in my fridge, so they're fine. You just let them sit on the counter overnight, put some plastic wrap on top so nothing gets into them, and you're gonna be okay. Now, I've got my circulator set to 90 degrees Celsius, and we're gonna cook the navy beans for about 3.5 hours. Now, the Hydro Pro and the Hydro Pro Plus have sous vide toolbox built into it, and that's gonna suggest to you 4.5 hours. And if you did 4.5 hours, that'd probably be okay. I tend to like these at the 3.5 hour, maybe 4 mark. You're just gonna have to taste them. Again, I've got a 1% salt solution. My navy beans have been soaked overnight, and my ratio of saline solution to beans here is about 1.5 to 1. So that's about right. Okay, that looks good to me. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you what we do here. I've got some plastic wrap up on top of this just so I'm not, steaming up my cabinets. We're gonna go ahead and pull this off. Careful, steam burns. Okay, 90 is putting off a good amount of steam. Okay, so I'm gonna take these beans, we're gonna drop them in, and then just gonna kind of fold the top over so that I can get some good plastic wrap coverage back over the top. And I'm gonna clip them to the side. And that's it, okay? So we're gonna let those cook for 3.5 hours. Now, there's certain beans that'll cook very quickly, like adzuki beans cook really quick. Most beans, if you do 4.5 hours, like sous vide toolbox tells you, you're gonna be okay. But the nice thing is, if you wanna say, I like my beans a little bit more, I like my beans a little bit less, you can save that as a my preset in that feature. But with the navy beans, we're gonna go 3.5 hours, 90 degrees Celsius, in a 1% salt solution. The 1% salt is important because salt aids in speeding up the cooking process. So make sure you go ahead and do that. And also it's an opportunity to add flavor. All right, so we've got our artichokes here and we've got a few things. I've got citric acid powder. Now, before anybody grumbles, you can find citric acid powder really, really easy. It's on Amazon, very affordable. But let's support our sous vide community here. Our partners at Modernist Pantry, they also sell citric acid powder. I can't say that. I've got a little bit of citric acid powder. I've got a paring knife. I've got a peeler. I've got a Y-shaped peeler. This is the style that I like. I think it's a little bit easier for me to use than the traditional potato peeler. I've got a bread knife. Serrated knife is important because the outside skin of the outer leaves of the Artichokes are pretty tough, so you got to get through those. I've got half of a lemon out. Anytime you make a cut surface, you wipe it down with lemon because the artichokes oxidize very quickly, and that'll affect not so much the flavor, but how they look. So you're going to go ahead and wipe your cut surfaces always with this half of a lemon. Now the other half of the lemon is in this water here, along with some citric acid powder. Now you just want the water to be acidulated. You want it to be fairly sour, if you will, and that's going to keep them from turning brown. So, oh, and I've got some gloves here. Now the thistles inside the choke of the artichoke can be a little bit irritating to your skin. So that's why I've got these latex gloves. So we're going to go ahead and put these on. You know, it's nothing to worry about. It's not going to hurt you, but it's just a little annoying, that's all. So first, we're going to clean up the outer leaves at the base. Okay, we're going to pick all those off. We're going to clean up the bottom. Boop. Okay, we made a cut. We're going to do lemon. Okay, now we're going to start to peel the leaves. Just gonna go for it. I like to kind of come in from the side rather than the top because, again, those thistles up on the top, they can bite you. Okay, this one's peeling really easy. This one's I feel like when they're a little bit more mature, it's almost easier. Okay, so now we've gotten down to this sort of where we can see this line here. Okay, so we're going to cut just below it because that's what's going to expose the heart. Okay, and now you can see we have this thistle area in here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and scoop that out. Oh, sorry, we made a cut. We're going to go ahead, put some lemon on it. Don't be afraid to use the lemon. And if you need to dunk it too, maybe in your water, that's okay too. Okay, so now we're going to scoop this out, and you kind of just turn them both back and forth against each other. It comes right out. Very simple, very easy. Okay. Don't want to crack the artichoke. You can crack it if you're a little bit aggressive with it. Okay. Okay, so now we've removed the thistle, and now we're going to peel away. Now this is where some people would use a peeler. You could use a peeler if you wanted to. I like a paring knife. A peeler works too. Peeler, you know, it just depends on your preference. Okay. I think it takes a little bit longer with a peeler. I'll let you decide. Okay. And now we're gonna use our lemon. Let's put some acid on it. Okay. Move that out of the way. And now we're gonna come in from the top, and we're gonna come down around the base of the artichoke to get rid of this tough stuff. Okay. And again, I have a very sharp paring knife. I keep this thing crazy sharp. And that is going to help you out here. Okay. Okay. Just going to go around. Clean up anything. I see a little bit too much stem there. That's perfect. And you see here, maybe I didn't get enough lemon juice in here. It's getting a little bit brown. That's okay. Just going to put a little more in there, rub it on the artichoke, and now we've got a turned artichoke. All right, so we've got our our artichokes, which we've turned, that were sitting in acidulated water, and we've got them sort of resting on a paper towel, sort of drying off here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut them up. We're going to quarter them, let's say. Okay. And that's sort of a classic way to do it. Now, if you got some big ones where it'd be kind of hard to quarter, not a problem. We'll cut the stem off. We're going to take the stem. We'll just cut him in half, and then we will quarter. Or this one actually we can cut in 6 pieces. Okay, we'll take those, throw them in there, and then this one's in okay shape. I'll cut his stem in half, and then with this one too, we'll cut this crown in 6 pieces. So we're going to take these our pieces of artichoke here. We're going to toss them with a little bit of a neutral oil. This is just soy oil, I believe. You could use whatever you want. You could use vegetable oil, pun intended. And then we're going to do some kosher salt and season them up nice. Now you could do a lot more with the seasoning. You could throw herbs in here. Bay would be great. Thyme would be great. Maybe not necessarily with this flavor profile, but you could certainly do it, and it would be great with some artichokes. You could throw rosemary in here, and then throw these up on the grill. Whoo, that would be delicious. But we're just going to cook these really, really simply and throw them into a bag. You could go super classic and you could make a barragoul liquid. And if you don't know what that is, go ahead and look up artichokes barragoul. Essentially, it's an acidulated cooking medium for artichokes that's traditionally used. And sometimes it's even served with that liquid. But again, I'm just going to take the artichokes, toss them in a little bit of oil, and salt, and cook them as they are. So we're going to throw these into a vacuum bag. We're going to vacuum seal them. And cook these at 83 degrees Celsius for 3 hours. And then we're going to ice bath them and cool them down. And then these are going to go into our bean salad. All right. So now what we're going to do is make our sauce, and this dressing is really about the herbs. You could use whatever's growing in your garden. Toss it with some olive oil, some chilies, some lemon, and you're probably going to end up pretty good. What I've got here is some parsley and some mint, because I like the way that mint flavor plays with the artichoke and the beans a lot. And I think the mint just sort of adds a brightness to it. Now, you don't have to go crazy with this. All I did was rip the head off of the parsley and pick some leaves. You don't have to go crazy. I didn't even run a knife through the parsley. I just tore it a few times with my hands, and that was it. Now let's talk about what we've got in here. We've got water, lemon juice, olive oil, honey, salt, a little bit of lemon juice, if I haven't said that yet, and what I think is sort of the novel idea behind this is we have some of the cooked beans that's actually going to thicken the dressing. So when I made it, I said to myself, well, it needs to be a little bit thicker, needs a little more body, needs to coat the beans a little bit better. So I added some of the beans to the dressing, and voila, you have a thicker dressing enhanced with bean flavor, and it coats the beans better. So we've got a little bit of the beans in here, and I also have citric acid powder in here. You will almost always find me sneaking citric acid into anything that's got lemon juice or vinegar, because I think it really just kind of bolsters that acidity. I like the punch that it brings. I like the flavor that the vinegar and the fruit brings, but I like that acidity from the citric acid powder. I like that pop in there. So I've got just a very small touch of citric acid powder in here as well. So we're going to go ahead and add our herbs into this blender cup. Now, I'm using a blender that I have that comes with this personal jug attachment by Breville, of course. And I'm going to go and use it here because the blender jug itself is huge, and this small amount of product won't really blend that easily in there. Now, the results with this I get are super smooth, but if your blender produces a chunky puree, that's totally fine. You can have whatever texture you want. It's gonna be okay in the end. And we're gonna add in some shallot brunoise. We're gonna add in some lemon zest. We've got the beans, the artichoke, so it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. If you wanted to do this in a food processor, by all means, go for it. You can do that too. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this on here. This little blade assembly goes into the jug. We flip it upside down. We're gonna kind of give it a bartender's shake here to get these beans off the bottom, and it looks like they're gonna want to stay there, but we'll give it a blend and see if they don't come down. Okay, so this is pretty smooth, but I can see that I've got a little bit of the beans and the honey stuck to the bottom. Just gonna see if I can't shake that up. Cocktails count as meatless, right? Should have done that. All right, so I'm just gonna hit this one more time. And that's it. That's our dressing. So we've got our green dressing, mint, parsley, lemon, chili flake, touch of honey, and that acidity is bolstered by that citric acid. And the sauce is thickened and made nice and creamy by the beans that we cooked themselves. I had some pre-cooked beans that I did, so I went and used those. But after you're done cooking the beans, that's what you would use in the dressing. All right, so this is the last step of mise en place. We're going to make our fried garnish. I've got some shallots here that I've sliced to about 1/8 of an inch thick, and some garlic, which I've sliced to about a 1/16 of an inch thick. To do this, I've used a Japanese mandolin. If you walk into any professional kitchen, you are going to see like 3, 4, 5 of these things hanging because they use them for everything. Now I've got a pot on the Control Freak. If you're not familiar with it, it's a very precise induction cooktop that has some special features to it. It's made by us, Polyscience. And right now I'm running the probe control oil feature, so I'm sort of running it as a fryer, if you will. So the nice thing about doing the garlic and the shallot is that I can do them all in the same pot of oil. And typically when you fry things like onions and garlics, things that are very pungent, or even fish, you kind of want to use it for only those sort of products because it'll transfer over into other things. You wouldn't want to fry shallot rings and donuts in the same fryer, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw the garlic in. I've got my oil set to 335 degrees. I think 350 is too high, but 325 is too low. So we're going to go ahead and split the difference, if you will. All right, so we've switched out tools. I was using a strainer that had some water in it because I washed it, dried it. Apparently I didn't dry it enough, and there was a ton of bubbling that was coming from the fryer, and that's super dangerous. So I gone ahead and let that bubble itself out, and we switched tools to a new strainer. I've got some tweezers here for working with these, and I've got this little strainer that we can use for garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and fry the rest of this garlic. Now you want to be careful because you see here there's a good amount of steam that comes off, water content that comes off of the garlic. That can burn you. So just be careful. Be mindful of what you're doing when you're frying things. Always keep your eye on the ball. You'll be fine. Now, the important thing about when you're frying garlic and doing stuff like this, they go from perfect to not so great really quickly. So when you look at them, you're like, oh man, those are about to be really good. Take them out because they will continue to carry over they will continue to keep cooking. So, and carry over in color. So, and when garlic and shallots fry and they get overdone, they get bitter. So, I'm gonna go ahead and carefully separate those. Hit them with some fine salt. Now I've just got some doubled up paper towel here. All right, so we're gonna go in with the shallots here. Got a handful of shallots. I'm gonna toss these in cornstarch pretty lightly. And then shake off as much of the excess as you can. And I'm gonna try to keep that in one hand. I've got some extra here, and I'm gonna try to shake that off. The goal is not really to like batter them, it's just to give them a light dusting, if you will. Now, we wanna be careful of how much we put in the fryer at once. So I'm gonna add half of them. Looks like I can do more. I'm gonna go in with the other half. And now this is where I'm gonna take some tweezers and kind of move them around. I want to keep them moving so they don't really stick to each other. We don't want globs of shallots. We want nice individual sort of nice shallot rings. And they're dusted in cornstarch, so they are going to have a lighter color in the end. All right. I think these are nice. We're going to hit these with some salt while they're still hot. Now, there is a method you will find on the internet about Thai fried shallots. Basically, you start them in cold oil, and then you bring them up to temperature very slowly over the course of about 20-25 minutes. I don't like those. And here's why I don't like them. I think they are excessively bitter, and I feel like they have a purpose in some dishes, but not in many. And that's just not a flavor profile that I like. So I like doing it this way. I like a light dusting of cornstarch. I think they look cool. I think they taste better. So as you can see here, we've got all of our mise en place, and let's just go through everything and recap what we did. This is a very restaurant dish. You can see I've got all my mise en place done. I've got all of my components, and I've just sort of prepared it that way. You don't have to do this. You could make this in one bowl, except for the fried component, and just let it sit overnight, pull it out the next day and eat it. It's delicious. Trust me, been there, done that. But this is the way that I've done it, just so that we can make a nice sort of a composed dish for you guys in this video. But again, if you want to make this artichoke bean salad, if you will, and let it sit in the fridge overnight, those flavors are going to develop even more, and it's going to be even more delicious. You'll lose some vibrancy from the dressing, but what you'll lose there, you'll gain in flavor. So what do we got? So we've got the hero of the show is the Sous Vide navy beans. These were cooked at 90 Celsius for 3 hours and 30 minutes. Soaked overnight, and then cooked in a 1% salt solution. I've got artichokes. We turned these and then cooked them very simply with just some oil and salt. These cooked at 83 Celsius for 3 hours. After that, I just chilled them down, chopped them in random little pieces. We've got our dressing here. It's got some mint, parsley, lemon, honey, chili flake, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of citric acid to enhance that lemon flavor. I think this is a very bright, springy dish. especially with the color, but also with the bright flavors that it brings. So this is, and that was also thickened with some of the cooked navy beans. I've also got some Brunoise shallot here, just some finely diced shallot, 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch. And then I've got some Aleppo chili flake here. This is, I get this in my Middle Eastern aisle at my local grocery store. It's relatively inexpensive, doesn't have a ton of heat, has some, but mostly has a nice chili flavor, which I think is going to be nice with this. And then over here, we've got our fried shallot rings and some crispy garlic. So with that said, let's plate it up. So I'm just going to go and use all of my beans. This was a 1/2 pound dried. I'm going to use all of the dressing that we made. All that's going to go in there. Okay. It all tastes the same. It all tastes good. Make sure you use all of it. Okay. Now, I'm probably going to go in with all of this shallot. This is half of a medium to large shallot, we'll say, Brunoise. If you don't like raw onion, I don't find it too pungent, but if you like it, if you don't like it, you can leave it out. I think it adds something. And then we're going to go in with some lemon zest. The zest of 1 lemon. This is a small lemon. Zest of lemon doesn't really mean anything unless you identify what the size of the lemon is. Zest of a 1 lemon, if it's a large lemon, it can be the zest of 2 small lemons. So we're going to say zest of 1 small lemon here. Okay, make sure you get all the zest off the back. Okay. Oh, and I hit this with a little bit of salt. Not too much. The dressing is highly seasoned. We've got the beans, which have been cooked in a salted water, and the artichokes themselves were also cooked in a little bit of salt and oil. So it shouldn't need too much salt, just a little bit. We're gonna go in. We'll probably use all of these artichokes. These were 3, I would say, medium artichokes. We'll use all of those. Make sure you stir it all up. Okay, let's give it a taste. Yeah, it's delicious. Okay, so our seasoning is good. It's got good acidity. I'm gonna put a touch of the Aleppo in it, and then we're gonna go over the top with more. It looks nice. It's a nice red color. But just so that we've got a cohesive, flavor going on here, we'll put a little bit inside as well. Okay. So, take some of these beans, plate them up in a bowl, and I would serve this sort of as a side dish. I like dishes that are sort of this size because then you can put, if you've got a couple people over or whatever, you can put one at one end of the table, one at the other end of the table, serve it family style, and that way no one's reaching, nobody has to pass plates or anything like that. That's just me. I like to do that. Now, we're gonna go down with our garlic flakes. Not too many, but enough. Okay? Enough so that there's enough to kind of carry themselves throughout the dish. And now I'm going to use tweezers. The shallot rings are delicate. If you grab them, you will break them. So we're just going to kind of come in like a forklift and lift the shallot rings onto the food, okay? And then we're going to go over the top, make it sort of snow with the Aleppo flakes. It'll get kind of caught on the top there. It's going to look beautiful. So that's it. That's the dish. We've got some sous vide navy beans and artichokes with garlic chips and fried shallot. So let's go ahead and give it a taste of everything. Yeah, that's insanely good. We're done here. You don't need to watch anything else. You've learned everything you need to learn in this video. That's fantastic. You get heat, you get the mint, the shallot adds a nice allium tone, and some crunch to it. The beans are perfectly textured. The artichokes have a perfect texture. Don't be afraid to get those artichokes and turn them. If you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email or a Facebook message or whatever it is. I'm happy to talk. I can help you through it. But again, it's really, really not hard. Don't be afraid of them. This is crazy good. That's all I got, folks. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks to the ISVA for inviting me to do another one of these showcases. I really enjoyed doing them, sharing what I know with you folks, and especially doing something like the Meatless showcase, which is right up my alley. Those of you who have seen me at the summits, when they ask me what I want to talk about, it's anything but meat. I just find so much joy in cooking vegetables and legumes, dried pantry staples, pickling, preserving. I really don't get that much pleasure, that same fulfillment from just cooking meat. Some people do, and I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but I love cooking vegetables. So thank you guys. Thanks again for having me. We'll catch you in the next one.